Leslie and I went to Disneyland for casual fun. We rode Space Mountain 3 times in a row, ate our weight in churros, and laughed until our faces hurt. It was the first time I'd seen Leslie laugh so much for so long. It felt good seeing her laugh. Our day was going great until we spotted this weird man outside Sleeping Beauty's castle. He was dressed as Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The costume was perfect, down to the layered robe, the heavy hat, and even the little details embroidered on his sleeves. But what struck me most wasn't the costume, it was his creepy expressions. He continuously licked his lips. His eyes looked hollow and sunken, like he hadn't slept in weeks. And every few seconds he smiled at random girls for no reason. Leslie and I were walking past him when he spoke to her. "You should be careful. Beauty is a dangerous gift, especially when wicked men desire it." I laughed. Man, that's creepy as hell, but I have to say, solid impression. Leslie laughed too, nervously, but the guy didn't blink, just watched her for a beat too long before turning and disappearing into the crowd. I didn't think much of it then, just another hardcore Disney cosplayer. But with time passing, we kept seeing him. At first, I thought it was just coincidence. He was standing near the entrance to the Haunted Mansion when we got in line, then again at Pirates of the Caribbean a few rows back. I pointed him out jokingly. "Your biggest fan's still following us?" Leslie didn't laugh this time. She just looked over her shoulder and said,
"What a creep."
And she was right. He wasn't looking around or checking his phone or doing anything normal. He was watching her. Even when we changed areas of the park, he somehow reappeared, always a few paces away. "Let's just go to another section," I said, trying to sound calm. Maybe he's just weird, not dangerous. After the Splash Mountain ride, Leslie wanted to change. Her shirt was soaked. She went into the women's restroom by the gift shop. While I waited outside scrolling through my phone, almost forgetting about the guy dressed as Judge Frollo. Suddenly, I heard Leslie scream from the washroom. It echoed, sharp enough to make people nearby look up. Seconds later, Leslie burst out of the restroom, pale, shaking, still in her soaked clothes.
He was inside, watching me, smiling.
She screamed. I dropped my phone. What?
I saw his face in the mirror, right behind me. He said something, but I couldn't. He was smiling.
I went right in and found the guy standing in the girls' washroom with that same sick smile plastered on his face. I tackled him to the ground, punching and shouting obscenities at him. Blood splattered across his chin, but he didn't fight back. He just laughed, lying there getting the beating. It wasn't a normal laugh. It was deep and guttural, like the sound of a church organ vibrating under the earth. The more I hit him, the louder he laughed. People were screaming now, security rushing over, trying to pull me away. I remember one guard yelling at me to stop saying the man's bleeding, but the man felt no pain. He was smiling through the blood, his teeth red, his voice steady even as they dragged him outside. He looked at Leslie, not me, and said, "You can't hide your beauty, my dear, not from eyes that see through skin." And then he laughed again as they pulled him away. That sound still plays in my head, not like human laughter, but something echoing, like it came from a hollow place far deeper than his chest. They took him away. Security assured us the man would be banned from the park and handed over to the police. But even then, I noticed the confusion on their faces. Because when they checked his ID, or tried to, there was nothing. No wallet, no phone, not even a ticket. He shouldn't have been there at all. We stayed until closing, sitting on a bench near Main Street, too shaken to move. The fireworks went off, and for a second, the entire sky was glowing. Everyone around us was cheering, filming, and enjoying. But all I could hear was Leslie sobbing. She leaned her head on my shoulder, trembling.
He wasn't normal,
she whispered.
I felt felt it when he looked at me. Like he knew things. Like he'd done this before.
I didn't know what to say. A week later, Leslie and I were back home. We avoided talking about Disneyland. It felt cursed now, like that place had shown us something rotten hiding beneath all the smiles and fireworks. I was flipping through the channels when Leslie suddenly gasped.
Jamie, turn back!
We saw that man again. That same face. The man dressed as Judge Frollo, only this time without the costume. His mugshot filled the TV screen. Pale, tired, but unmistakably him. The news anchor's voice was calm but cold.
Authorities have identified the man arrested at Disneyland last week as Richard Hale, 43, a repeat offender known for stalking women in public spaces, such as amusement parks, restaurants, and shopping malls. Police say Hale often posed as characters or staff to blend into crowds before following victims into secluded areas.
Leslie covered her mouth, whispering,
"Oh my God."
The report went on. Detectives had searched his apartment and found hundreds of printed photographs. Women at Disneyland, shopping centers, and cafes, all taken without their knowledge. Each photo had disturbing captions written beneath in red ink.
Hale reportedly told investigators he admired Judge Claude Frollo, claiming he was misunderstood. In his own words, why should there only be fans of Disney princesses? Why not Disney villains?
The room went silent. Leslie started crying softly, and all I could do was hold her hand, staring at the TV. The reporter moved on to another story, but I couldn't stop replaying that sick laughter in my head, that guttural, inhuman sound. He wasn't a ghost. He wasn't a demon. He was something worse. He was real. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to visit Disneyland alone. My little sister Emily always wanted to go there, but that day never came. A drunk driver took her life last December. She was only 9. I still remember the phone call, the sirens, the sterile smell of the hospital room. I didn't cry at first. I just stopped feeling altogether. But when I found her old bucket list written on the back of her school notebook, I saw "Go to Disneyland" scribbled right at the top. So I decided I'd go for her. It was a sunny afternoon when I arrived, and everything looked exactly like how she'd imagined it. Music playing, kids laughing, balloons bobbing against the sky. I wandered aimlessly. Every smile I saw reminded me of what I'd lost. I sat near the fountain outside Fantasyland, eating a churro, murmuring to the wind, "It's all for you, Emily." I was drowning in my despair when noticed a man standing near the carousel. He was this tall, lanky dude with stringy hair. He was pretending to check his phone, but he wasn't looking at the screen. His eyes were locked on a little girl. She couldn't have been older than 8. She skipped around, laughing, while her parents pushed a stroller a few feet away. The man started following them, slowly, deliberately blending into the crowd. Every time the girl turned, he looked away, pretending to take photos or adjust his hat. A chill crawled up my spine. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. People look weird all the time. Maybe he was just waiting for someone. A few minutes later, I looked back again, and this time, I saw the man talking to the girl holding out a popsicle. I was too far to hear what he said, but I could tell from the way the girl was interested in whatever he said to her. Her parents were distracted, trying to calm the baby. It's none of my business, I told myself. There are cameras, security, people everywhere. But then, I watched him quickly grant her wrist and started walking away. Once the girl realized the man was taking her away from her parents, she started crying, but the music and chaos suppressed her voice. Her cries just dissolved into the noise. He started dragging her toward the side path behind the Dumbo ride. I was sure now that the man had bad intentions. Before disappearing behind the ride, I saw the little girl's face, her eyes wide, tears streaming, her small hand reaching out as she shouted for help. And in that split second, I saw Emily. The same desperate eyes she must have had the time of the accident, calling for someone who never came in time. Something inside me snapped. I got up and ran, faster than I ever had in my life. My heart pounded like a drum in my ears. I didn't even think, just shoved past people, knocking into them. When I reached the corner, I saw the man again, pinning the little girl against a wall. His belt was half undone. His face had changed from calm to something ominous. For a moment, I froze. Every cell in my body screamed in rage. Then the girl whimpered,
"Please don't hurt me."
and all I saw was Emily again, sitting on her bed, asking me to promise she'd be safe when she grew up. I couldn't stand still anymore. I lunged on the freak. The man turned, surprised, just as I slammed into him. We both hit the ground hard. I don't remember what I said, just the sound of fists, the taste of blood in my mouth. I punched him until my knuckles bruised. He tried to fight back, but rage and grief had made me stronger than I'd ever been. I screamed at him, words that didn't even make sense. All I knew was that this monster wasn't going to hurt her. Not today. Not ever. By the time security arrived, he was lying half-conscious, gasping, his face unrecognizable. The guards pulled me off him, shouting questions I couldn't process. The little girl ran to one of them, sobbing. I was shaking, covered in sweat and dust. My hands were trembling so hard I had to press them against my knees to keep them still. Later, when everything calmed down, one of the guards led the girl towards me. She had band-aids on her knees, and her pink backpack was ripped. She looked up at me with these big, grateful eyes, the same color as Emily's. Then, she reached out and grabbed my hand.
"Thank you."
She whispered. I didn't even know what to say. I just knelt down so we were eye level. "You're safe now," I managed to choke out. She suddenly hugged me, tight, like she was afraid to let go. And something broke inside me. I felt warmth on my cheeks and realized I was crying. Not the quiet kind of crying, the shattered, shaking kind. Months of guilt and pain spilling out at once. I held her like she was my own sister. Like maybe, by saving her, I'd finally done what I couldn't do for Emily. When the police took the man away, one of the officers patted my shoulder. "You did good, son," he said, but I barely heard him, because in the distance, through the crowd and lights, I thought I saw something. A tiny figure standing near the carousel, wearing a white dress and Minnie Mouse ears. For a second, I saw Emily. She smiled at me, and then she was gone. I don't know if it was real or just my imagination, but I felt her there, in the laughter of the kids, in the breeze that carried the scent of cotton candy. At night, as fireworks exploded over the castle, I sat on a bench. Tears fell, but they didn't hurt anyone. Somewhere beyond the lights and stars, I knew she was smiling, proud that her big brother had finally found the courage to be her hero, even if it came a little too late. And for the first time since she died, I smiled back. I still get the chills when I think about that day. It was supposed to be magical, a perfect Saturday trip to Disneyland for my daughter, Macy. She'd been talking about it for months. She was 9, and at that age, everything still feels big and possible. She'd saved her allowance to buy a pair of Minnie Mouse ears. At morning, she was wearing them proudly in the back seat, singing along to the Frozen soundtrack while I drove down the 5 toward Anaheim. It was early, maybe a little after 7. The sky was soft and gold, traffic light. I remember thinking how good it felt to give her something normal, something joyful. We were on the road for quite a while and everything was usual. Suddenly, I noticed this woman on the bend of the road ahead. At first, she just looked like a performer, someone walking to an event maybe. A woman dressed in a Minnie Mouse costume, standing by the side of the road, waving both arms like she needed help. But as we got closer, I saw her more clearly. Her costume was filthy and torn. She didn't wear a mask, instead wore this Minnie ears and had weird makeup on her face. Her smile was way too big than her face. I slowed a little. Macy pointed through the glass.
Mom, Minnie's lost.
The woman stepped closer, dragging one foot slightly, a red polka dot dress stained with mud. Her voice came out flat when I rolled down the window an inch.
Going to Disneyland?
She said.
Can you take me?
I forced a small smile.
I'm sorry. We're in a hurry. I can't.
Before I could finish, the back door yanked open. I realized what a grave mistake I made by forgetting to lock it. The woman slid in beside Macy. The smell of her sweat filled the car air. I turned to yell, but she already had a knife pressed against Macy's throat.
Drive. Left at the dirt road.
My hands went cold on the steering wheel. Macy started crying. She whispered,
Mommy.
and it nearly broke me.
Please don't hurt her. I said left.
There was a dirt road, maybe half a mile ahead, one I'd never noticed before. I turned onto it, tires crunching over gravel and roots. The highway disappeared behind us. We were surrounded by trees, tall and still. Macy's cry grew louder. She looked at me with these terrified eyes, and I wanted so badly to tell her everything would be okay. But I didn't know if that was true.
It's okay, baby. Mommy's right here. Keep your eyes on the road, Mommy.
The woman's hand trembled slightly as she held the knife. She was breathing heavily, almost wheezing. We drove deeper into the woods until I saw this. A rotting cottage leaning to one side, covered in vines. The woman pointed.
There. Minnie's house. You'll both love it. It's magical.
I pulled up and parked. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. She got out slowly, still gripping the knife. For a second, she turned toward the house, as if checking something. It was my only chance.
Macy, stay down!
I screamed and slammed my foot on the gas. The car lurched forward. The woman's arm hit the door as it swung open, and she stumbled backward. I didn't look. I just drove. She started hurling rocks at my car. One smashed the rear window. Macy screamed in fear, but I kept my calm. I had to. I just kept driving. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely keep the car straight. We hit the main road again, tires screeching, and I didn't stop until I saw the other cars, real people around us. I pulled over near a gas station, jumped out, and ran to the back seat. Macy was curled up, crying hysterically, with glass in her hair, but thankfully not hurt. I grabbed her and just held her. She was trembling, gasping for air between sobs.
Mommy, I don't like Minnie anymore.
That broke me. I couldn't say anything, just held her tighter. The police came about 20 minutes later. They took our statements and searched the area, but they didn't find the woman. They said maybe it was a vagrant, someone high, unstable. But when I told them about the costume, about how she seemed to know that hidden dirt road, they just looked at each other and said nothing. That night, Macy wouldn't sleep in her room. She kept saying she saw Minnie outside the window. Every sound made her flinch. I slept next to her for weeks after that. A few days later, out of morbid curiosity, I drove past that stretch of highway again, in the daylight. I wanted to see if maybe I'd imagined it, but when I reached that spot where I'd first seen her, something caught my eye. A pair of red Minnie Mouse ears lay in the dirt near the shoulder, half buried in dust. The same kind Macy had been wearing that morning. She still had hers, which meant these weren't hers. I didn't stop. I just kept driving. To this day, I don't know who that woman was or what would have happened if I didn't drive away. But sometimes, when I drive at night and see someone on the side of the road, my body freezes up. I think about that voice, that flat, emotionless voice saying, "Going to Disneyland?" Macy's older now. We still haven't gone back to Disneyland. She doesn't even want to. She says it's not magical anymore. And honestly, I get it. Because for me, that stretch of highway, that one lined with bright billboards and palm trees, will never feel like the road to Disneyland again. It feels like the road we almost died on.